From Nutrien Ag Solutions, this is Senior Meteorologist Andrew Pritchard filling in for Eric Snodgrass on today's Ag Forecast video for Thursday, November 18th, 2021. Eric's been flying all over the country the last few weeks, including a red-eye flight getting back into Illinois during the wee hours of the morning today. He's going to take a little well-deserved time off with his family as we head into the Thanksgiving holiday week. But rather than leave you guys in the dark here as we approach the holiday week, I wanted to at least visit with you briefly and touch on some of the bigger weather stories that we're watching across the U.S. and globally here, again, as we head into the weekend. We'll start off with the satellite picture here. Just after 2:30 on Thursday afternoon, got a big area of low pressure, a big trough across portions of Ontario right now. Brought blizzard conditions, winter storm conditions to portions of the Canadian Prairie, some accumulating snow getting down into the northern plains, the upper Midwest. The center of low pressure, again, well off to the north of us here, but that cold front stretches from the northeast down into the mid-Atlantic and across the Gulf Coast right now. That swept through the central and eastern Corn Belt yesterday, bringing some rain shower activity. We've seen skies clear out in much of the central and eastern Corn Belt there over the last 24 hours with that colder air working in, but you do see some lower clouds making their way across the Great Lakes right now. We've seen some flurry activity popping up with that, and then some lake effect snow as you head further north into portions of Michigan. We've got another disturbance making its way in across the Pacific Northwest, where we've been talking about flooding for the last couple of weeks. We're seeing another shot of some high elevation snow and some coastal rains making its way through that area over the next 24 to 36 hours. Now you see the cold front on the satellite picture. Let's jump over. Let's look at current temperatures here, and you see the dramatic difference along that front. We've got temperatures in the 70s and 80s ahead of the front, temperatures in the 40s and 50s behind that, and then a little bit further north, we've got another shot of reinforcing cold air there, 20s and 30s across the northern plains, the upper Midwest, pushing into parts of the Corn Belt, feeling a early winter chill, again with the flurry activity and lake effect snow in there. The wintry vibe certainly turned up as we head into the late part of the week here. Now, as we jump back, take a look at the hazards map here. We've got a freeze warning in effect across portions of North Texas, getting into Oklahoma, Arkansas, and northern Louisiana. Let's take a look at the overnight low temperatures forecast across that region. We're talking about overnight lows getting into the mid-20s across northern Arkansas into northeast Oklahoma. Temperatures getting down near the freezing mark. You see the white line here across North Texas, getting into northern Louisiana, even the northern tier of Mississippi and Alabama, perhaps flirting with the freezing mark as we head into the overnight hours. Now, temperatures across the Midwest, the upper Midwest at least, in the teens across portions of Minnesota and Wisconsin, 20s widespread from Iowa and Missouri and Kansas eastward into the eastern Corn Belt and the Mid-South. Now, across the Red River, portions of Arkansas, Louisiana, this is just about a 24 to 48 hour chill. We see those temperatures moderate quickly Friday night into Saturday morning. Temperatures only dropping down into the mid-40s across the Red River, still getting down into the freezing mark across Arkansas, the northern tier of Mississippi and Alabama, and then seeing that freezing line here continuing off to the east into the Carolinas. So we jump into Saturday night, Sunday morning, really starting to modify. We see those overnight lows in the 40s, spreading all the way back into the Ozarks and the mid-south here. So quick shot of very cold air across the Red River. We see that air begin to modify as we head into the weekend. Now let's talk about the precipitation pattern as we head into the weekend. We're going to start to see, let's get it back here to midday Thursday here so we can see the current position of that cold front with the associated precipitation. Let me go ahead and see if I can get this to refresh so that it's got the proper maps for us. There we go. All right, so we'll bring it back. Here we go. Heading into Thursday evening, you see the area of low pressure here well off to the north across the Hudson Bay. Still seeing snow associated with that. You can follow the front south down toward the Gulf of Mexico. Now, across the U.S., a lot of this precipitation actually behind the front. Typically we'll see the front come swinging in. You see showers and storms erupt on the leading edge of that. But here we see kind of a different story. You see the winds shift out of the south and then shift from the south out of the northwest. See the temperatures begin to fall off, and then we see some of that showery activity begin to move in on the back side there. But this quickly moves off to the east and is not our problem here by the time we get to Friday morning. This front's quickly shifting off to the east. We see high pressure move on in. The next disturbance then is across the Pacific Northwest. This is where we got Friday morning, seeing those coastal rains from Washington down to northern California, snow in the higher elevations of the northern Rockies. We'll take this through the day Friday. This is into Saturday. We start to see this area of low pressure eject then across the central Rockies. It's going to link up with an area of low pressure off to the north, though, and this is going to become a bigger storm system for the eastern U.S. as we head into the weekend. So this is what we have Sunday evening. So this is your weekend here across the Corn Belt. We're talking about maybe some light showers across the Dakotas, getting into portions of Iowa, Missouri, and Illinois as we head through Saturday and Saturday night. Some flurries potentially across the northern plains and the upper Midwest. But as we get into Sunday and Monday, watch this thing really wrap up as it lifts off to the north and to the east. So we'll again see a cold front dragged across the Ohio River Valley, the Mid-South, into the Gulf Coast with scattered showers and storms here Sunday into Sunday night. Much more impactful storm system as you head into the Great Lakes and to the Northeast, though. That's what we're going to be talking about, the potential for strong winds. We'll see the rain activity on the leading edge here, and then potentially some snow coming in on the backside here Monday into Tuesday. So then as we head into the holiday week, we're getting into, days 6, 7, and 8, start to lose a little bit of reliability here, but just kind of looking at, if you got travel plans, right now it looks like a decent Thanksgiving week across the U.S. Now, a couple wild cards here. We are watching a potential storm system that could develop here across the southern plains and then lift into the Midwest as we get into kind of the Thanksgiving week weekend. This is days 8, 9, and 10, though, so this is something that we'll be watching as we head into next week. Not something we can really give specific impacts with, but just don't be surprised as we get into the November 26, 27, 28 time frame, that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday that follow Thanksgiving, if we aren't talking about a fairly impactful storm system across the middle of the U.S., lifting from the southern plains up toward the Great Lakes. But as it stands now, let's go ahead and talk about total precipitation really over the next 10 days. As we head into the weekend, it's the cold front continuing to move east across the last eastern sliver of the lower 48, and then we're talking about rain and snow across the Pacific Northwest. This is total precipitation through Friday evening. We'll take it on into Saturday. Again, across the plains, we're talking about hit and miss flurries, light rain, kind of maybe some light freezing rain here, not impactful in the precipitation department with this next storm system until we get into really the eastern third of the country on Sunday into Monday, when we see this thing really start to ramp up and we get another dose of showers across the eastern Corn Belt into the Mid-South all the way down to the Gulf Coast. Another round of blustery rain across the Northeast, and then perhaps some snow coming in on the backside as we get into Sunday and Monday. So total snow accumulation here, we'll go ahead and jump over looking at the latest European model. Again, snow continues north of the U.S. border, along with flurries and lake effect snow activity along the Great Lakes states here from Minnesota into Wisconsin, Michigan, northern Ohio, getting into Pennsylvania, and off into the Northeast. So this is what we have here let's take it through the weekend. So midnight, on Monday morning. Again, we're talking about light snow activity across the Great Lakes, accumulating snow in the higher elevations of the northern and central Rockies, and then we start to see some of the colder air wrap around the backside. I think if we're going to see anything in the way of impactful snow associated with that area of low pressure, it's going to be as we get into early next week around Tuesday and Wednesday. So taking a little further, this now gets us through the Thanksgiving holiday. This is noon on Friday, 8 days from now. So again, we're not really talking about any high likelihood of a big disruptive winter storm right in the middle of our Thanksgiving holiday. So good news for folks who do have some travel plans or anything like that. Of course, we'll be watching things evolve as we head into the next week, but that's what it looks like here early on. So what's driving all this? Let's go ahead and take a look at the 500 millibar height anomalies here, the jet stream pattern as we head through the next 10 days. So this is the low right now, the main area or the main trough that's been driving the blizzard of the most recent 36 to 48 hours across the Prairie provinces. Has the cold front attached to it here that swept through the mid and eastern Corn Belt here, and then is now lifting off across the north and the east. See a bit of ridging here, really just some flat flow as we head into Friday and Saturday. That's what gives us a relatively quiet end to the week as far as precipitation goes. Now here's the next little trough that starts to swing in here, and then you can see the dramatic phasing that we get here as we get to the back half of the weekend. Right now, just real subtle system here, drifting through the central Rockies, bigger trough off to the north, and that's where we see the linking of those two features. This one across the central Rockies, and then we've got another clipper-like system swinging out of Alberta. This again noon Saturday, and then you watch them link up right there as we get into Sunday, and then lift off across the northeast. And that's what allows that surface area of low pressure to rapidly deepen across the Great Lakes and then lift into New England. So that's why we see the relatively sneaky, quiet passage of that system from the Rockies into the plains and then across the central Corn Belt. And then as that area of low pressure, we see the phasing of the upper level pieces there. I bet we can see it really well with the vorticity map here. We'll look at 500 millibar vorticity. We'll take it, here's the first low. That one quickly exits as we get into Friday. Here's this little ribbon of vorticity cutting across the central plains as we get into Saturday. Here's the system diving out of Alberta. We'll see these two link up right there and then just lift into the northeast as we get into Sunday and Monday. We'll then be watching this next piece that comes in. This is Tuesday of Thanksgiving week. You watch it dig across the Four Corners region all the way down to the Yucatan as we get into Friday. That's the one that could potentially swing back into portions of the central U.S. in some sort of impactful way as we get to next weekend. Temperatures through all this, we're going to continue to see warmer temperatures across the southwest. Meanwhile, with this kind of active track with systems coming in across the U.S. and Canadian border, we're going to see reinforcing shots of colder air here. And some of that air is going to be exceptionally cold, especially in some of these areas that we have some snow on the ground, and that's going to be across the Canadian Prairie, getting down into portions of the northern plains, the upper Midwest. So, it was a mild October, it was a cold start to November, and it looks like we're going to turn colder across the Corn Belt as we head deeper into November and potentially the first week of December as well. Now, as far as our high temperatures go, let's take a look here. This is mostly through the day on Thursday. This is what we've got on Friday. Again, we're going to see temperatures moderate across the central U.S. as we head into the weekend. We'll see that first shot of cold air continue to move off to the east. This is our Saturday highs. We get into Sunday. But then here comes that next shot of cold air following that trough. Again, we see the phasing of the two waves, and that's going to send another shot of cold air spilling into the central U.S. early next week. Your Monday highs back in the 20s and 30s across the Corn Belt. But then look, that system moves off to the east. We see those temperatures modify again. So temperatures over the last, or I should say, maybe next week or so, they're going to lean colder than average across the middle of the U.S. here, the central and eastern U.S., but we're going to really see volatile temperatures with big day-to-day temperature swings as well. So shots of cold air, maybe a couple days of warming followed by another shot of cold air as well. We talked about the overnight lows here. We'll take one more visit with those. Again, freeze warnings in effect across the Red River into the arc latex over here as we head through Thursday night into Friday morning. The frigid air, or the sub-freezing air, continues to move off to the east by Saturday morning. And then by Sunday morning, maybe pockets of sub-freezing temperatures here across the Mid-Atlantic, the Carolinas. But then you're going to have to head back into the northern and central plains, the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, places where, we should be below freezing overnight this time of year, even a little bit warmer than average here with those overnight lows in the mid to upper 20s by Sunday. Continue to see that warm air lift off to the north and to the east, being interrupted by that shot of cold air that comes in here Sunday into Monday. Sub-freezing temperatures once again spilling back into the Corn Belt. Potentially some sub-zero temperatures again. I'm telling you, across portions of Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, getting into the northern plains, the upper Midwest, where we've got a fresh snowpack. That shot of cold air early next week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I wouldn't be surprised if it is colder than advertised at this point with some sub-zero Fahrenheit temperature readings across that region early next week. One more look at temperatures here over the next 10 days. We'll look at the Euro ensemble here that just came in. And again, you see the colder air mass right now across the central U.S. We see that continue to move off to the east, replaced by milder temperatures as we get into Saturday and Sunday. But then we see the phasing of those two systems. That big area of low pressure develops across the Great Lakes, and we get another shot of cold air quickly coming in here Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. See those temperatures here, that green shading, that's what we're talking about. Temperatures anywhere from 5 to 15 degrees colder than average, with that fresh snowpack from central Alberta into Saskatchewan, Manitoba, the northern tier of states here. Don't be surprised if we see some bitterly cold temperatures here to get started next week. Now again, the up and down temperature ride continues. That blob of colder air continues to just quickly get off to the south and to the east, replaced by another shot of mild air as we get into the middle part of next week, with colder air following. So that's your up and down, your volatile temperatures, your big day-to-day temperature swings. But as we look at the next 10 days overall, they do likely lean cooler from the Canadian Prairie down into the Great Lakes, much of the central and eastern Corn Belt, milder across the west and into the high plains. And now I want to jump over to Europe, starting in Italy, where they experienced a big outbreak of tornadoes over the last 24 to 48 hours, including some incredible video here near Milan, where you're looking at a zoomed-in shot of the tornado circulation at the cloud base, and you kind of see the swirling vortices there with debris kind of flying around it. This really looks like a tornado video we saw come out of Minneapolis in 1986. It was shot by a news helicopter in that area, but fascinating view of this tornado in Italy. We're also going to be talking about cold air in Europe as well as we head into the weekend early next week. We're going to be talking about temperatures here in portions of Portugal, Spain, up into northern France, really across much of Europe. This goes across Germany, all the way over toward Ukraine. We're talking about temperatures anywhere from 5 to 10 degrees Celsius colder than average as we get into the early part of next week. And then a reinforcing shot potentially coming in here as we get into the November 27 and 28 timeframe as well. So this is something we'll be watching here, another shot of cold air spilling into Europe, potentially disruptively cold. And then jump over to India, where we're talking about really just dangerously poor air quality here. This is something that is expected this time of year as we head into the winter. This is when they kind of deal with peak of poor air quality across the region, but this has been especially disruptive here over the last week or two. I wanted to show you this cool imagery here from the NASA Earth Observatory. They have this map here. This is from November 11th, so the actual satellite image is about 7 days old, but really conditions remain quite similar, where we've got all these red dots. These are fires. So this isn't the only thing contributing to the air quality here. We also have pollution and other factors here, but many fires ongoing here. Smoke, other pollutants in the air here. You can see up in the upper left, or I'm sorry, I do know my left and right, upper right here, the Himalayas. That's what creates kind of the barrier here and keeps the smoke trapped, the smoke and pollution trapped here and stagnant over India and over surrounding states here. And again, really reaching extremely dangerous levels here, where we're seeing the air quality index here getting into the 450 to 500 range. 0 to 50 would be your good, healthy range, by the way. Finally, looking in South America, we continue to see drier conditions advertised across much of Argentina. We did see a little bit of shower and storm activity introduced here, kind of in the Buenos Aires vicinity. We'll talk about the timing on that here. We'll jump on over to the precipitation forecast. Again, quiet as we head into the weekend. It's early next week as we get into, we see a front lift through the region right here Tuesday. We're starting to see the advertisement of maybe some scattered shower and storm activity, but really this is minor activity and low confidence in this actually happening at that point. Overall, as we look at the next 10 days though, the precipitation anomaly forecast continuing to keep dry conditions in the forecast across this region, across Argentina, all the way into Paraguay and Uruguay as well. Well, as promised, this has been a shorter than usual update. I'll leave you with this. The next week, precipitation anomaly, this really spells it out. Again, drier conditions in the midsection of the country. We'll eventually see drier conditions work their way into the Pacific Northwest following the next 24 to 48 hours. Potential remains for some additional snow in the Highway 16 corridor across the Canadian Prairie provinces as we get into the weekend and early next week. We will be talking about precipitation across portions of the Mid-South, the Eastern Corn Belt in the Northeast, with that system early to mid next week. But overall, drier conditions with colder shots of air spilling into the central and eastern United States, warmer in the west as we head into the next week. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving holiday. Eric and I will resume normal scheduling the following week.